Welcome to Big League Dreaming, the podcast. We can't wait to get to today's show because we're talking to a volunteer assistant coach, but not just any volunteer assistant, right, Zach?
Definitely not just any volunteer coach. He has a very long history in the game, and I'm very excited for everyone to meet him.
It's all coming up next on Big League Dreaming, the podcast.
Oh yeah, I was big league dreaming. For as long as I live, always, I'm big league dreaming.
I never got to bat in the major leagues. I'd have liked to have that chance, just once. To stare down a big league pitcher. Make him think you know something he doesn't. Chance to squint at a sky so blue that it hurts your eyes just to look at. To feel the tingle in your arm as you connect with the ball. To run the bases, stretch a double into a triple, and flop face first. Wrap your arms around the bag. That's my wish, Rick and Silla.
As I said, welcome to Big League Dreaming, the podcast. John Gonzalez along with Zach Gonzalez, son number one, and it's been a little while since we did a podcast. Zach, how you doing?
I'm doing great today. How you doing, Pops?
I'm doing all right. It's kind of bittersweet. It's kind of a weird time. College World Series wrapping up, and we were just talking off the air that Vanderbilt's got a 7-1 lead over Mississippi State, and been some drama to get to this point in the College World Series, right?
Yeah, you could, to say the least, right? Our hearts go out to NC State and what happened to them. You just hate to see it for those student athletes, but it's kind of out of their hands, and you just got to keep rolling. Yeah,
it definitely is out of their hands, and you know it's going to be debated for a while now, and it certainly was a season to remember. 2021. See, I lost a whole season there. I think we all lost a whole season in 2020. But it's been one of those years, right, Zach? And I think we'll all remember this season, that it was just kind of, how do you describe it? How do you put it into words, right?
Exactly. I mean, definitely a unique year. We knew it was going to be a unique year coming off of what last year was. At least we have fans in the stands, so that's good to see. And kids are able to play the game they love. So, I mean, you can't beat that.
If you're new to the podcast, it is Big League Dreaming, the podcast. It's a dad and three sons kind of talking baseball, kind of what you would envision around a dinner conversation, just kind of, just talking about the game and our love of it, what we different parts of our lives and dreams and aspirations that we all had as baseball players, me as a coach. Although I was a player back in the day. Whoa, that sounded kind of weird. But I played back in the day. Zach, of course, you played. Your two brothers can't be with us today. Zane. See, I always get the names wrong. Zane is busy recruiting right now at Indiana University, South Bend. And then Ty, the middle one, is busy doing production on his YouTube channel, TK Top Tunes. Check them out when you get a chance. But so today, Zach, we've lined up a really interesting guest today. Talk about College World Series in the year that it's been.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm glad you got connected with a CMU guy because I know you're a proud alum. So since he's a big CMU guy, I'll let you do the introduction, Dad.
Thanks, buddy. Joining us on the podcast is I want to say volunteer assistant, but that just seems so weird. Tom Winske. He is one of the coaches there for Coach Bishel at Central Michigan University. Coach, how you doing today?
Oh, great. Hey, honored to be here. This is my first podcast, so I hope I do all right.
Well, you're going to do just fine. I'll tell you what, when I was in South Bend watching this year's playoffs or regionals and saw you on the sidelines there, my first game seeing in the Chippewas play in a couple of years, and just the amount of success this team had. I remember seeing you talking to Coach, and you guys seem to have this instant bond. I didn't know a lot of the background, but for everyone out there listening right now, let's talk about that bond, because what I saw was kind of a coach talking to a fellow coach, but you could tell you're a mentor to him, right? And you can just get that sense. Give us some of the background and what you guys have been able to do at Central Michigan University this season.
Yeah, kind of an interesting story, at least maybe we think it is. I don't know, you guys might be bored with it, but I came on to Central Michigan 3 years ago as a volunteer assistant, I guess you call it. That always sounds like I'm living under a bridge or something, being a volunteer, but actually Jordan takes care of me pretty good. But Coach Bishel, he played for me. at St. Norbert College, a Division III school. He was a pitcher for us. Had some success. He became our number one pitcher his senior year. He jokes about that he wasn't very good, but he turned in to be a pretty darn good pitcher for us. And obviously he was a very, very intelligent player and person. He's got an accounting degree, business degree, and I always thought that he was going to go a long way. And his whole story is he was an accountant, didn't like that, so he called me and said, "Hey, I really like to get into baseball because that's what I really love." And so then I don't know, he coached for me for 2 years, I believe it was, or maybe it was 3 years. I can't remember now. But then he moved on, got a Division II job down in Northwest Missouri State as an assistant. And then he moved on to a couple different places. But I always thought that, I was kind of kidded him, hey, when you get your first big Division I job, you better take me along with you. And when he got the CMU job, he said, hey, you better be ready now because I got the job and I expect you to come along with me. And long story short, that's kind of how it ended up. Is I'm the guy who used to yell at him a lot. Now he gets to yell at me, I guess. So reversal of roles. But no, we get along great. And the good thing about us, we can have these little skirmishes and things like that, but it's all for the good of the team. And it's been a great run for us.
Well, Coach, I know Zach and I have a lot of questions about this year's team because what you were able to accomplish, the success, the instant success, the rejuvenation of a storied program of CMU and the Chippewas there. There's a lot to cover there. But first of all, Zach, I think you would agree with me because you're a college baseball nut and you played at Davenport University, a small college in Grand Rapids, Zach. But Coach Winske here, he was at St. Norbert College. Where is that? I mean, Zach, do you even know where St. Norbert's at?
I don't know exactly where it's at, but I have a good buddy of mine who's from Wisconsin, and he's told me a little bit about amateur baseball in the state of Wisconsin. It's very unique, and I want to hear Coach's take on everything because, correct me if I'm wrong, Coach, but do the guys not have high school baseball in the state of Wisconsin? So, how does the recruiting work? How does all that work?
Actually, there is high school baseball, but until recently, there was 2 different seasons. So they had the majority of the teams played high school baseball in the spring, just like Michigan. But probably I'd say only about 70% of them. And then the other 30% played what was called summer high school baseball. So it was really a split between the two. It was really odd. Now, I think it was 2 years ago, they all came together as one. So it's all high school baseball in the spring now, basically just like Michigan. But St. Norbert College it's in De Pere, Wisconsin, which is, if you probably don't know your geography, but it's really Green Bay, Wisconsin. So that's where I started out coaching in college, and it's really only, I think it's like maybe 4 miles from Lambeau Field. So that'll give you a little bit of a geography lesson there on that. But interesting relationship. St. Norbert was a great relationship with the Green Bay Packers. We actually got to practice in their indoor facility quite a bit, or maybe 4 times a spring if we were lucky, which was really great for us before we went to Florida and stuff like that. Because obviously in Green Bay the weather was pretty dicey, so we weren't able to get outside probably until end of March probably.
But Coach, you're really not giving yourself the praise that you deserve here because you coach. This is why it's an interesting story that you came to Central Michigan and Mount Pleasant to coach under a former player. I mean, you were at St. Norbert. You were 444 wins over 20 seasons, multiple conference championships, NCAA appearances. For all intents and purposes, I mean, you had a heck of a run there. And I don't think you really wanted to leave from what I can tell. And, I know that you're part of the community there because your friends over at the Abbey Bar and Grill said to say hello.
Oh, yeah. It was difficult to leave, obviously, in a lot of regards. we had a really good thing going there at the college. They just had basically a new field there with a turf end field, a new facility there, and new indoor facilities at St. Norbert. So they really upgraded the athletic programs there, and and obviously had a lot of friends there, and asking your wife to leave too was moving into a much smaller community, Mount Pleasant. For me, it was fine. I got the college, but it was a pretty big adjustment for her, and leaving and going to a smaller community. She likes to shop and she likes to do all. There's not a lot of those things in Mount Pleasant, so it was a big adjustment for her. But she's really learned to like it there now, and we have a really nice place to live. So it's all worked out really, really well. But yeah, it wasn't an easy move, but it was just something when I came to visit Central Michigan, seeing the facilities and knowing I would get to work with Jordan. Again, we always kind of had this dream that, hey, let's see how far it can take us, baseball. And, when he gave me the opportunity, I said, well, geez, we got to take it here. And we took a chance, and it worked out really good for me because I was really considered what was called a part-time coach at St. Norbert, which means I wasn't getting very much money. Okay. But I had my real job. I was a teacher in the Green Bay public school system. So I really had like 2 full-time jobs. So it was pretty stressful, running from, one job to the other every day. And especially if we had weekday games, it was tough to sometimes get out of work. But so it was quite a move though. And it's all worked out really well. So.
Now, Zach, I'm sure like all baseball fans out there, and especially here on the Big League Dreaming, the podcast, we've talked a little bit about the Central Michigan baseball team. What did you notice watching the team play on TV? What did you notice about this team, Zach?
I mean, you can't not notice the energy that they have in the dugout, right? All those guys getting fired up. You see clips of them on social media doing wacky things, hard out of the box, sprinting after a hit by pitch, all the bunts that they throw down. It's a lot of fun. You can't not root for a team like that. So it's really cool to see a team really embrace the small ball aspect. I mean, what was it, UConn, that you guys laid down all those bunts during that game for base hits?
Yeah, that was probably
crazy.
One of the. Yeah, that was a. I mean, UConn, great program, but we really bunted well. We hit with some power that game, and we had the base running going that game too. So everything was clicking. We worked a ton on our bunting, and we don't really like to play small ball. Anytime we bunt, it's for a base hit. We very, very rarely will straight sacrifice. Some of those turn into sacrifices, right, if you get thrown out. But our goal is if we find a little bit of a weakness somewhere, or a team's not really prepared to defense our bunts, we're probably gonna hurt you. But it takes a lot of work, and the base running too was pretty good. But yeah, we like to have a balanced attack. Now this year we did not hit for a lot of power. It just happened in the Notre Dame regional that we hit some. The wind was gusting out, of course, so that helped the power numbers on all the teams there that weekend. But yeah, we like to have a balanced attack, and Zach, what you said about the energy, I think that's really the key to our team, and a lot of fun to coach our team, and we really preach that, and that's really important to us. We want our guys energetic. Sometimes they got to force it a little bit. It's not always like that, but we feel if they're a little crazy, it's all for us too. It's never against the other team. So it's all the wacky stuff that we do is mainly it's not just for entertainment purposes. None of that. It's really to try to keep our guys engaged in the game, because baseball, I think, as you know, it can be a little boring for players to watch, and if they're sitting on the bench, they're zoning out. But if we're doing some things that we really believe in, and we have a party inning, if we have a 1, 2, 3 inning, our guys get together and they throw a mini party in the dugout. So they're really looking to do the things that we really stress, and that's really the exciting thing about our team. Once it's really hard. I think the biggest compliment, I'm rambling here, but I think the biggest compliment we ever got was we were, I think it was our first year, we were not having a good series against Kent State, and we were down 8-1, but we were still throwing these parties even after, being down 8-1, and one of their assistants came to me in the off season and said, you know what? He goes, you guys really had a great squad. He goes, I could not tell if you were up or down in games because we really behaved the same no matter if we didn't really play to the scoreboard. I was just really trying to play one pitch at a time and, having that energy no matter what the score was. So
is that, Coach, is that something that you had instilled back at St. Norbert? Was that your style of play back then? Or is that something that Jordan really wanted to embrace?
Well, a little of both. I mean, when he came to coach for me, that's when I kind of started changing some things. I was kind of old school when I first started, coaching, more like a Belichick approach or something, like kind of like, this hard old school approach and no fun and all that. And I figured, you know what, this is really not working. Baseball's a game where you want to be relaxed. If you're tight, you're really no good. You guys as ball players know that if you're nervous and tight, you're not good. So that's another component to being loose and energetic. We think our guys perform better that way, but that's probably about when we started changing. We always tried to make it a little more fun, a little more exciting for the players. And we found that really, from about 2009 to when I left, 2018, that's when our teams really started to get good, I thought, at St. Norbert. And I thought a lot of that was because we would bring energy every day and try to bring it every inning, whereas a lot of teams, have letdowns. And so we're really big on trying not to let down. I think every team tries to do it, but I think we just go about it maybe in a little different way.
Well, I don't know about you, Zach, but I do know about you. You're my son. I coached you, and as I've seen you play for your whole life, I'm all about fun. I mean, I could never figure out, Coach, when I was coaching youth baseball, and we had a scrappy young program. We started a travel baseball club from scratch, and we were beating one of the established clubs pretty handily, and their parents were yelling and mad, and everyone was down on the other side. Our team was up, just having a good time. We were winning too. That helps, right?
Yeah.
After the game, one of the assistant coaches from the other team came to me and just said, he goes, I love the way you beat us. I said, what do you mean? He goes, you guys were just smiling, and your parents were smiling, having a good time. And you know what? We were taking the game too seriously, because I think you have something going there. I think what you're doing is something special, and there's some room for that in our game. And Zach, wouldn't you agree that a lot of times, the stress of it all gets in the way?
Yeah, I mean, going back to conversations we've had in the past about how big the mental aspect is part of the game. And if guys are having bad thoughts in their heads or are on edge, then they tend to, like Coach said, tighten up and not have that positive open mind and be loose and have that slow heartbeat. Because you want to make sure you have slow heartbeat, you get your breathing work in, you're ready to go at all times. But if you're worried about your coach yelling at you if you're going to boot this ground ball, then you're probably not going to make a very good player or throw. So the mental aspect is huge. And if you can take the whole being nervous and aspect out of the game and replace it with good thoughts, positivity, and fun, then you're going to have a lot more success without even changing your swing, without even doing anything in the weight room, anything like that.
Right. And Coach, that would be something that you do. Is that something you talk about in practices during the off season when you're working out? Is that something that you just address right away, or is it just a given? This is how we're going to act.
Yeah, I think our first year we kind of had to. CMU had some really good teams before we got there. I mean, it wasn't like they were, we were totally rebuilding. There was some talent when we got there, but I think it was just for the players anyway at that time, that maybe there needed to be a little change in the way they did things. So we just, really had a light touch. And, I think what Zach was saying is really important, that we just wanted them to, enjoy the game. And Jordan is really big on, hey, we're going to act the same no matter what the score is, no matter, what the situation. We're going to try to act the same. Now, he always qualifies it. Obviously, we're in the regional. There's going to be a little tension. But, hey, really, we just got to go out and play the same as we always have. Easier said than done sometimes. But I think with, just the things that we do, and that we, really encourage. And I'm a big child in the dugout, so that helps. I mean, that's kind of my role when we're on defense. Offense, I coach third, but on defense, I'm up and down the dugout the whole time. And, we got these weird cheers that we do all the time, and the players, obviously, they take it to a new level and they, build on it. But, that's kind of my role when we're on defense, is to, keep players loose and keep them engaged and give the players on the field a lot of encouragement. And that's kind of my role. And the other coaches, Jordan does an unbelievable job of calling pitches. So he's really focused on that. He doesn't have time to be acting like a big child in the dugout. But, Coach Schrader does a great job of positioning the outfielders, and Coach Jandron does a great job of positioning the infielders. So our staff really works together well. We all really know our roles, I believe, and it all works. Somehow it's all worked out, where it's really, there's a lot of synergy in that. So,
well, Coach Jordan had incredible success at Northwood University, and getting this job at Central Michigan was, a testament to what he has been able to accomplish in his young career. One thing that I noticed about him, and we're talking about the enthusiasm in the dugout and what Zach was talking about, I've got to ask you a couple details of those things, right? Like the piñata was just like, what is a piñata doing? Why is the guy wearing a Yoda mask? These are just things that like you guys are used to, but people that are watching for the first time on TV going like, what is this team on?
Yeah, it's a little crazy. Everything seems to have a little story to it, so I don't want to bore you with all the stories. But the piñata actually came. We were going to play. It was probably about midway through the season. We were going to play a team that we thought we were, quite frankly, we were better than them, and we did not want to have a letdown. So we thought, what can we do to get these guys excited? And so we bought like 3 of these little piñatas at Walmart, and we filled them with, candy and stuff like that, and said, hey, if every game we win here, we get to break a piñata after the game. Now, we didn't break it on the team's field, but we in the parking lot, we did it. And so the guys at Clay, of course, they're big children, and they love breaking this piñata. And then the last piñata, it was my job to give him a soft toss pitch, and then we had a pitcher with a bat, and he would break it, and it'd go all over. But the last piñata, I acted like I was going to throw it to him, and then I held it. I said, we can't break this piñata. He's our good luck charm. So we kept that piñata for the rest of the year. That was kind of like our team mascot for the rest of the year. So that's kind of his life was spared the rest of the year. So that's he
got a lot of TV time. I'll tell you that.
I'm sure, but it was all fun. It was a way to keep our guys loose, relax, and kind of something. Hey, let's get after it, and not have a letdown. The big point was that we didn't want to have a letdown against this team and lose a game, because in our league there was no conference tournament, so every game in the standings was like a playoff game. 40 games. We couldn't. Ball State was chasing us the whole way, and we were tied. They were up a game, and so if you lost one of those conference games that you were supposed to win, it was like you felt just terrible. So we didn't want to have a letdown. That's we always were trying to come up with ideas to keep our guys engaged and excited, for the 4-game series coming up the next weekend.
Well, you can just sense that the program is on the verge of just bigger and better things. I mean, in 2019, you beat Miami, Florida in the tournament. You have a big win against Michigan. You beat UConn. Notre Dame was just, like you said, the ball was flying out of that stadium in that series. So you kind of were up against that. But you feel like, 2022, you can start to see that pretty soon Central Michigan will be considered a program that's going to be there in the hunt, not only for the MAC title, but for a chance to get to regionals.
Yeah. Well, we hope so. We're off to a good start, and Zach knows this. It's tough though. It's everyone's kind of shooting for you now, and who knows how the league's going to be next year. We think we got a pretty good team coming back. We lose some pretty good pitching, but we think we got some pretty good guys coming through that'll help us a lot. But I think our offense should be pretty good. So hopefully, we can keep going, and maybe even, who knows, take it up a notch and get to that next level. So,
Zach, what do you have for Coach?
Coach, I want to ask you about going to regionals for that first time, and coming from a D3 school and then going into that atmosphere. That had been such a huge change for you. I bet it was so awesome. I coached a year of Division III college baseball myself in Grand Rapids, and I remember when we got to the playoffs, I was just telling all my guys like, just another game. We're going to do everything the same way. We're going to stretch the same way. We're going to do our pregame the same way. That way they don't get in their heads about, oh man, this is playoffs. And I'm sure you were preaching the same stuff to your Chippewas. But as a coach, going from D3 and everything that atmosphere has into that Notre Dame, what was that like for you?
Well, yeah, that was, actually back it up 2 years ago, we our first year we went to the regionals at Mississippi State, and
That's right.
I mean that stadium was just unbelievable. I mean, it was like a mini major league park, and there's 15,000, 20,000. So it was quite an experience for me. I'll have to admit. I mean, I was like a kid in a candy store. It was. I mean, These facilities were unbelievable. Even their practice facility and just everything about it. The fans, and again the stadium, the facilities, the atmosphere, the ESPN, all that stuff was pretty exciting. But very exciting for me. Going is Zach. What a lot of D3 fields are like. They're glorified high school fields. So going into something really big time like that was really a great experience. And once the game started, though, it was all pretty much baseball. Then first inning I was probably a little nervous, but after that, it was just like, hey, got to think ahead. Are we gonna send this guy? Are we not? You're trying to think all baseball thoughts after that. So. Mm-hmm. But one little story about that it actually went against us. Our second game we beat Miami, and then we were playing Mississippi State the second game, and we were I think we were actually the home team that game. So they're up in the top of the first, and they get a guy on, and I can't remember exactly who, but we were in the first base dugout, and their player comes up and he lines a ball down the right field line, and we could not see in the dugout the foul line way down the line. So we're like, is this going to be fair or foul? And all of a sudden, it obviously hit the line because the whole crowd just went absolutely crazy. It was like deafening. You could not hear, and it was like an NFL game. You couldn't hear the guy next to you even talking to him. So even though it went against us, it was quite an experience with that crowd erupting for Mississippi State. And it was a weird, it was a bizarre experience, let's put it that way, because you're kind of like, oh, this is really a bummer that they got a double here, but it was kind of cool hearing that crowd at that level.
Yeah, they have the attendance record every year, Dad. Mississippi State, they have the highest capacity out of all Division I. It's just unreal down there.
Yeah, and then Notre Dame, yeah, exactly. It was amazing. The cookouts, the barbecues they had, it was really, and their fans actually kind of took to us, because of our antics and all this. So they were really rooting when we weren't playing them. They were really rooting for us. So we were kind of the darlings of that. So it kind of helped us in that first game against Miami. Everyone wants to beat Miami, right? So, it was kind of a cool experience that way too. So, and then Notre Dame the atmosphere is not quite as like a Mississippi State, but it was a very anytime you're in the NCAA tournament, that's pretty exciting to us. So.
Well, you had so many scouts there too. I couldn't believe the number of scouts that were at Notre Dame.
Yeah, lots. I mean, it was, I don't know how many, but it seemed I looked out. There was a lot of radar guns. There was a lot of guys dressed up in their the scouting gear and all that. So it was.
Coach, what advice would you give to young coaches out there? Because obviously you have Jordan, who was a player, and then a young coach there with you as assistant at St. Norbert, and then you turn around 20 years later, now you're his assistant, and a lot of young people. Well, Zane's not with us today; he's not able to make the podcast, but he's a pitching coach at NAIA school in South Bend, and he wants to move further ahead. What would you say to these young coaches that love the game, that want to continue and further themselves?
Well, I think, they want to further. So I think that's the goal they have to have, is to keep learning. I mean, I've gone to so many conventions, the ABCA, and you just never have, this game it can be so humbling. You're always got to be learning different things and different ways to motivate your players, or different mechanics, or now this big thing with the spin rate and all that stuff. I mean, there's the game really has advanced. A lot of things stay the same, but a lot of things keep advancing. So keep learning and hang in there. I'll be honest. I never thought, I was there at St. Norbert for 20 years. I thought maybe if Jordan got a job, maybe I would go. But I just felt that I felt I could always do the job no matter where I was, because I was a good student of the game. And, I thought no matter where, no matter what division or what level I was at, I thought I'm always going to continue to learn. And, if the opportunity comes, I'm going to do a good job wherever I'm at. So I think just keeping the belief that, especially if guys I wasn't really looking to advance anywhere. I was at St. Norbert. My family was from Green Bay, so I wasn't really looking to move per se at that, for a long time. But I always thought that I put myself in position if something did come along that I would be ready, because I thought I had all the answers coming out of college, we're all geniuses, but I found really quickly that, I got a lot to learn about this game, and, I still do. So, that's I would just say go, and try to learn as much as you can, stay network as much as you can. And, and just, really got to grind, but have fun, right? You got to have fun. You got to enjoy it, right? Just like you, John, I can tell you enjoy your job right now.
Right.
You love doing this, and that's the biggest thing. No matter what job you take, you really want. I've been in a couple jobs, teaching or whatever, that I really didn't like, and I always found it a lot better if you really enjoy something. You're going to go a lot further. So
yeah, I think Zach would agree too that baseball is a sport. It's not like the NBA or the NFL. I think it's a sport that, Division I, Division II, Division III, NAIA. I think they're just a little different, but it's still the same baseball. It's baseball, and the way the game's changing right now. Zach, you'd probably agree with this, is that the game's changing so fast. The coaches that kind of move forward and think ahead are the ones that are going to be there.
Yeah, absolutely. It goes through phases, right? And first this thing's hot, and then this thing's hot. These are up, these are down. You just gotta figure out what kind of team you have, what can you play it to the best of your aspects that your team is capable of, and then just going from there.
Exactly. Well, Coach, we really appreciate your time. Anything last thing you want to say about your staff there at Central Michigan, and why people might want to come out and root for the Chippewas sometime soon?
Yeah, I'm just really blessed to, I have working with I think that's really the greatest thing, is I have really working with great other assistants, and Jordan as a head coach. Jordan does a fantastic job. He gives us all a lot of freedom to do what we're supposed to do. I'm in charge of the bunting and the base running. Coach Schrader does all the catching. Coach Janner has a lot of he's our infield, and he's also the guy that works our pitching mechanic stuff and weight program. And so it's really, and everybody's on the same page. There's never anything, we're not arguing about, we got to do things this way, and that guy's saying. So we're really focused on the same page, and I think that's really important. And Jordan was, when he hired the staff, that's really what he wanted: guys that were going to be loyal, and guys that had the same beliefs in hitting, and how the game should be played, whether it's small ball or power ball or whatever whatever it was. But I think he's done a masterful job of getting a good staff and getting the right players at CMU that really love to be there and want to play. So
you must be so proud of him.
Yeah, he's really it was funny, just real quick, I'm sorry to bore you, but I thought, again, when I was at St. Norbert for 20 years, I thought, I got a lot of answers. But when I came here, I actually learned a lot from Jordan right away on some things that, hey, man, shoot, I should have been doing that at St. Norbert, and I don't know if I admitted that to him, but no, I did, though. I learned a lot from him and the coaches that, on some things that, I wasn't doing in our program that I can see really, would have helped us, if I could back up the clock. But I'm glad I learned them now, and it's been a great experience. So, and then, just, it's a lot different as an assistant now too. I can have a lot more fun. I can joke around with the players a lot more. It's just, he's got to be more serious. So, and it's kind of funny because I can kind of rip on him in front of the team, and everyone kind of laughs about it because they know he's my former player, and I can get away with it, but the other guys can't really. But no, he's done a great job, and CMU is really lucky to have him, and it's been a great experience for me. So
fire up chips.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Really appreciate it, guys, and can't wait to listen to this and probably hear how idiotic I sound. But it's you guys are doing a great thing, so keep it up.
Thanks,
you did great, Coach. We're really lucky to have you on. We really appreciate your time.
Okay, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Take care, Coach.
Yep. Bye-bye.
That was a lot of fun, Zach. I mean, it's so great to talk to coaches that have a little experience, old guys like me, right?
Yeah, I loved how he said that he could make fun of the head coach because he was one of his former players, and all the players laugh. I think that's hilarious because I can definitely see that happening at practice like every day.
Right. Yeah. It's a cool setup and a cool story because you don't see that happen very often. I mean, I think, as a coach, you have these players come through your system and you're like, oh, that kid's he knows the game. He could be a good coach, right? But then to have that relationship continue over the years and just stay in touch, because I know they stayed in touch, a lot, and to say, hey, someday you better bring me along when you make the big time, right?
I mean, I guess it's somewhat common because the coaches know if a player is definitely a student of the game, they just naturally stay in contact with their head coach. Like I still talk to both of my head coaches just to keep that relationship down the road.
Right.
And it's pretty common for coaches to get a job and ask their former head coach, hey, do you want to come with me? But the fact that he went from D3 to major D1 is very unique. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it was a really cool story. And they were definitely the Cinderella story, the media darlings of this year's tournament. And I really thought if they got a chance to go to the next level, but the people at ESPN would just love them.
Oh, for sure. I mean, such a fun team. Like I said, how can I root for those guys?
Yeah, how can you not? Well, that was a lot of fun. Doesn't it get you excited about baseball again? Even though the College World Series is wrapping up here and we're getting ready for the All-Star break in Major League Baseball, but baseball kind of has that flow, right? It's starting to feel back to normal this year.
Yes, thank goodness. Baseball is a great game because it's like it's so long. So there's spring training early in the year, and then it goes all the way into October. And then there's like some winter ball if you want to get into Arizona Fall League and winter ball if you want to get into that as well. But it's almost like a year-long thing. There's only a couple months off where there's not games being played. And even then you can pull up some Caribbean World Series if you really wanted to. So the way that it flows throughout the year is really neat, especially as you're a kid growing up, watching the Detroit Tigers or whoever your team is. And you're thinking to yourself, man, I've played on 3 teams and the Tigers are still in the middle of their one season. I played high school ball and I played travel ball and now I'm playing fall ball. Yeah. 3 different teams and they're still going. So yeah. It's very, very unique sport and it's the greatest sport.
It is the greatest sport. We want to thank again, Coach Tom Winske, just for being a guest on today's podcast. Folks, follow the Central Michigan University baseball team. They are a lot of fun. If you get a chance to get up to Mount Pleasant to see them play, do that. But they have a full schedule. You'll see them throughout the MAC games in the new season. And I think they'll be one of the favorites to repeat as champions in the 2022 season. If you want to email us, please do that. bigleaguedreaming@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your suggestions for future podcasts. If you want to tell us what you thought about Coach Winske and what he had to say, we would love to hear from you. Zach, any other thoughts about Tom, Coach Winske, what he had to say? I mean, I love the fact that, he was preaching what we preach, which is have fun with the game.
Yeah, and he sounded very genuine too. Like, he loves what he does, and he loves where he's at this moment in time. And Central Michigan has a great facility. So for our listeners who are interested in going to see a game, they have a great setup there with, all the seating that they have around back behind home plate and down the lines. It's a very good place to go watch a game if they're interested.
That's right. You've been there a few times.
Played there a few times.
You-
I pitched against the Chippewas. I
That's
should have told
right.
them that story.
Oh, yeah.
Man,
That's
what'd I
right.
do? I think it was like 12 up, 12 down or something like that.
You had a
against
good run
Chippewas.
there. Yeah. You
Did.
played well.
They were mad too.
Well,
Low 80s. They didn't know what to do with it.
they didn't know how to hit that speed. You know, but I think the cool thing about that game I remember is that they brought out their starting lineup. They didn't. It was a midweek game, right? And it was a non-conference game for them, so you expect them to let some other guys play. No, they went with their starting lineup.
Yeah, and I was slated to start that game, and then coach made a last-minute decision to start our ace because he was like, "They're bringing their best. Let's see what happens." And he got tagged because he's a low 90s guy, and they tagged him for I can't remember how many runs. He was out in like second inning, I think I came in.
Yeah.
And that's when they were getting mad because they couldn't hit my stuff. But we ended up losing, but it was really cool to have some success against those guys.
It sure was. Hey, Zach, great talking to you. Folks, again, thanks for listening to the podcast. We appreciate you tuning in. Ty, give people more information about how to follow us.
Hey, it's Ty from Big League Dreaming Podcast. Be sure to give us a follow on Twitter at BLDpod. That is at BLDPOD. And we're also on TikTok now as well, so give us a follow at Big League Dreaming. We'd love to connect with you.